Echo, echo.
Hey, 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 hey. And we're live. We're live. We're live. We're live. What up,
Hey,
y'all?
hey.
What it do? All right. We are back in the place, and it is Tuesday night. I am Kia McLean.
And I am Shamika Arnold, the Dart Therapist.
Gosh, she is.
Yay.
Don't get it twisted. That's our door therapist.
Yay.
All right, y'all. So, what are we going to be talking about tonight? We are talking about
Yes.
3 ways to heal before you enter your next relationship.
Yes.
Y'all ready for that conversation?
I know
Hmm.
that was one of the, what, I want to also say, everybody that like participated I'm going to move this over a little bit. Everybody that participated in the question this afternoon, I appreciate all the suggestions for the topics of conversation. So thank you guys.
Yeah, wasn't that awesome?
Yes, that
Um,
was
that was so awesome. I was like, dang, they really showed up. Like
they
in the
did.
comments, they gave us so many suggestions
I loved it.
and we have a board that we put all the suggestions on, and then actually that's what me and Marcus do, but me and Shamika, we literally are like back and forth with each other, like, okay, what are we going to talk about, what are we going to talk
Mm-hmm.
about? And so you all gave us some great content that will last a long time, because everybody gave more than one suggestion. That was great too. Like, y'all didn't just give one, y'all gave like a whole,
I loved
like,
it. A
loved it. We
list.
loved it.
Yes, that'll keep us busy for a good minute. Missy
Yes.
said hello. Hey.
Hey, Missy. We really appreciate you, Missy.
Yes.
Appreciate your support. Like, for real, for real.
Yes.
Missy be showing up for us.
She do.
Okay, so 3 ways to heal before entering another relationship. I wish there was a podcast like this when I was in between relationships that would talk about how to heal
Mm-hmm.
before going into another relationship. Because I like bumped my head a whole bunch of times, scraped my knee, but it actually contributed
Hey,
to
Floyd.
the conversations I can have with other people going forward.
Right.
So, hey, Floyd. All right. So, I have some ideas. I have my three. And I don't know if you have your three or if you just want to like talk about my three, but my first one is something that I actually titled one of my journaling workshops after, and I wanted to share it. And I called it Honoring Your Healing. So,
Mm-hmm.
one of the things you want to do when you are healing before you get into your next relationship is honor your healing.
Mm-hmm.
You should regard it with respect. Like,
Right.
don't be like, I don't need to heal. They was the problem. I ain't
Right.
got
Right.
nothing wrong
Right.
with me.
Right. Right.
Like, honor your healing. Respect the process. Respect the fact that you may have had some pain,
Right.
that you may have inflicted some pain.
Right.
Um, and if you don't honor that, if you don't respect it, then no healing will take place. And then you'll enter the next relationship with that same pain, with those same issues that you had before. And
Right.
your pain deserves the right attention to heal
Yes.
properly. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I had for number one. Did you want to piggyback off of that? Or did you want to add to that?
Um. Yes, because I was actually thinking that, and it's funny because I was thinking something else before this one, but I think this would actually be the would this be the number one or number two? So I was thinking about making a list of what you liked in the relationship, what worked for you in the relationship, and then what didn't, and then take responsibility for the parts that didn't work and what you could have done better in that relationship.
Ooh.
But I feel like that's what you were saying. I feel like that's what you were saying. I just
Well,
said in different words.
I mean, I think it coincides. It goes together. So that's a good.
Hmm.
That's good because it kind of goes together. So
Yeah.
write down what you liked about the relationship, right?
Mhm.
And then what you didn't like.
Mhm. And then it's about taking responsibility for the parts that didn't work, because I mean, it could have been the other person, but then it could have been you. But then also too, if it was something you didn't like and you saw it in the beginning and you allowed it to continue. So I think just being honest with yourself about
Mm-hmm.
the relationship and just looking at the big picture of the relationship and things that could have been different.
Now, I think that's good. And I kind of want to sit with that for a little bit because I think a lot of times, and I've done this in the past, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten to a relationship with someone very early on. I saw things that I didn't like, that I was not comfortable with, or
Mm-hmm.
that didn't make me feel good,
Right.
but I overlooked it because I liked
Mm-hmm.
this or that,
Mm-hmm.
or I felt maybe like, well, you shouldn't be hard on people or you shouldn't judge people. I used to do a lot of that pandering before, like, well,
Mm-hmm.
that's not nice, Kia. Accept people for who they are. Like I
Right.
used to do a lot of that. And so
And it's
I
like
think
you judging
that's,
yourself
yeah,
for
yeah.
for seeing what wasn't going to work in the relationship, for you.
Right. So that's a
Mm-hmm.
good thing to like really do, to sit down and do that. I'm glad you added that. Like, write down what you liked about the relationship, what you didn't, and in fact, like where I started, honor your healing. And in honoring your healing, respect and hold yourself accountable for not only their behavior but your behavior, because you're only responsible for you. Like, what
Mm-hmm.
other people did is what they did, but
Mm-hmm.
you need to be responsible for you and your behavior, and anything that you did that put um yourself beneath them in that relationship.
Mm.
Oftentimes we put ourselves beneath
Yes.
people, like we don't think that we're worthy of the love or the whatever it may be, and so
So we
then
do take what we can get.
yep, we just
Like no
I'll just
pain,
take
no
the
gain.
crumbs. I'll take
Like no
crumbs.
pain, no gain. Remember that song?
No
No
pain,
pain, no
no
gain.
gain.
It's lies. And she said, what she say? She said, um, having a piece of man. I said this before. Another video. Having a piece of man is better than having no man at all. So I'm gonna take what I can get.
Mm-hmm.
No, don't do it. Don't do that. No. But I feel like that's been the concept of how we're supposed to. I feel like that's always been that's been the historically been, because again, the man is the prize, and so if you don't have a man, but hmm, okay, so so that's how it's been. It's been that if you don't have a husband, then your status is less than. So this has been ingrained in us that we just take the bare minimum
Mm-hmm.
because we're women,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't considered a good thing to be a woman all the time. So we just got used to just accepting the bare minimum and accepting poor behaviors.
Man, I had to kind of sit with that for a minute. I had to sit with that for a minute because that's so true. Like, we've been taught to believe that we have to be all of these things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And having a man and having this certain image is part
Mm-hmm.
of that, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And one of the ways that I know for a fact that I dishonored myself is I knew there were times I just didn't want to be in a relationship. I had no desire for a relationship, but I did it because I was like,
We're supposed to.
well,
They want to be there, and then okay, let's do
I
it.
mean, I guess, and I remember the first time I honored myself. And it wasn't for the reason that we're talking about, which is healing. It was, I just wanted to stand up for myself in that relationship. I wanted to not be in a relationship with someone that I knew I was not going to be with for a lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
And I needed to be honest with him about that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad that I honored my healing in that moment and said, no. I don't want to do this for a
Mm-hmm.
lifetime. I don't. Um, but it wasn't because I was healing. And now that I know that, I want to be able to help other people to honor it for the right reason.
Right, right. Yes,
Honor
not just yes.
honor yourself so that you are giving whoever it is that you decide to be with the best version of yourself,
Yeah.
and that you're really working on resolving whatever is going on internally, right?
Yep.
um, Floyd said, I love listening to y'all brilliance, intelligence, knowledge. Oh, thanks,
Thank
Floyd.
you. Thank you.
That's so
Mwah,
sweet.
mwah. Thank you.
So you want to know what I
Um,
got for my number two?
what'd you get for your number two?
You should know what I got for my number two, because I got
What you got for?
therapy.
Oh, that's what you put for number two. Therapy.
Number two, therapy.
Okay.
Therapy.
Therapy. Get that therapy.
Therapy. And who better to discuss that but the DAR therapist? Get your therapy.
Yeah. Cause and you know what too? Um, and I guess my second one will go hand in hand when I was like, this could have been the first one or the second one, but it's to close out that door with that person, you know, close out that door with that person. And what that looks like, this is what true healing looks like when you are healed from somebody. When you see them, there is no emotional reaction, no anger, no like that stomach drop. You know that stomach drop feeling when you still liking them.
Mm-hmm.
When that's gone, when you see them and there's no emotional connection, no emotional reaction from your physical body.
Yep.
And I think we don't. What we do is we be like, well, "I'm over him. I'm gonna move on." And what's that saying? Like to get over somebody is to get under another person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How has that worked before? Does it really work? It don't really work.
Yeah.
It doesn't really work. But so definitely therapy would help in the process of even healing from that emotional relationship because it could have been traumatizing. That emotional relationship could have been traumatizing. It could have been emotionally traumatizing. It could have been a lot of things. And you know, yeah, and I just definitely think therapy. No, therapy would definitely help with that process of healing from that. Because in
So
order to
for
move on, you got to close that door.
yeah, for me, okay, first before I talk about that, I want to talk about something I saw on Instagram today. Everybody knows the singer Tyrese, right?
Oh yes,
And if if you are following Tyrese, you know that he's kind of been going on this tangent about his baby's mom and this child support issue. And so there was a young lady that stitched one of his videos, and she said, "This is a sign that Tyrese needs to heal because he is so focused on his ex and he has a whole
yes,
nother relationship. He's in this whole other
yes.
relationship, whether
Yep,
it's about child support or not. Why is he so fixated on this woman? He's just
yep.
going in constantly talking about this woman and how she's harmed him and how she's hurt him and, how she's trying to take all of his money. And I
Hmm.
think that is one of those examples of, you
Agreed.
know, look, name somebody that has not been hurt or wronged or betrayed in a relationship.
Right, right,
If you can tell me who they are, like, I'm gonna sit next to them and rub some of that good juju, because,
right.
like, the reality
Yeah,
is we've all been there, right? We've
right.
all been hurt and betrayed and done wrong by somebody. And like you just said, close out that door, close the
Hmm.
chapter. If you are continuously focusing on that, right,
Yeah,
then
yeah.
how is he in a whole nother relationship, right? He's
Hmm.
claiming to love this woman and all of that. He's in a whole other relationship and he keeps talking about this woman.
Right, right, right,
You need to heal, baby. You need to
right,
heal because it's unfair to the woman that you're with now.
right.
You know, that's not fair to her. And
Yeah.
so Camille said they aren't alive.
What do you mean?
So elaborate on that for us, Camille.
Yeah, they aren't alive.
But
And hello, welcome.
yes, and welcome.
But you're right. But you're right. Yes. So he's still, and that's the thing is like if you're still going back and forth, even because I think about like for a minute, like being upset with my son's father, right? Being irritated,
Mhm.
right? And even though I didn't want to be in the relationship with him, I didn't want to be in the relationship with him, right? I didn't like but there was still some resentment, some anger, and then just me taking responsibility again for even choosing that relationship as well, even choosing the relationship, taking responsibility for why I chose the relationship, you know, um, sitting on thinking like, what was it about him that drew me to him? Well, at the time, I don't know who he is. I don't know what type of person he is now. At the time, I knew I was because I can manipulate. I knew I would better manipulate him. I came this close to getting some titties. I was gonna talk him into me getting some titties. This close. The only thing that stopped me was I had never been put to sleep before, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'm not gonna get them. But I had to sit on that. I had to realize, like, okay, everything so I wanted somebody at the time that I can still be in control. So I had to deal with that in myself. Um, oh, she said they haven't been hurt. Oh, they aren't alive anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yes, your focus becomes your reality. Yeah, and if your reality
Yeah.
is the whole situation with it, yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
She said if they ain't never been hurt, they're not alive. um, but and it's like I had to face the fact that I have issues with being controlling. I have, I had to work through identifying that and then identifying that that I chose somebody that I could do that with.
Mm.
I was able to do that with him,
Yeah.
and so again, that was based off of the wall I had up because again, I wouldn't be hurt if I'm in control.
Mm-hmm.
It's not true, by the way. It's just not true. But because then I hurt myself, right? Because then I'm not even being able to be my genuine or just being able to be in a vulnerable space to be able to receive whatever he was capable of giving me, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't able to do that because my goal was I can be in control and I'm good. And so then I had to take responsibility for that. And it's hard to take responsibility for when you didn't jack up the relationship. So
That is so
definitely,
true. That's so true. And
yeah.
Camille just said, we're never completely healed, all a work in progress. Exactly. We
Continued.
right. We say that
Continued.
all the time, right? I
Continued.
always
I be
give
calling
myself
kids
a plug.
still. I be calling kids still. I be like, Kia.
I always give myself a plug. My last book is called The Constant Road to Healing because
Yeah.
we're on a continuous road to healing. We will
Yes.
probably never stop healing. And one of the things that I think is so important, and you said this and you pointed it out, and that is we focus so much on the other person or the other people when we need to be focused on ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Starting to become accountable for yourself, becoming
Yes.
self-aware, and really acknowledging all that shit about you that ain't right.
Yes.
Because when I started to take the focus off of them and
Mm-hmm.
put the focus on me, first of all, it's not a beautiful thing, right?
Right.
It doesn't
Right.
always feel good because you have to acknowledge that there are some parts about you that are ugly,
Mm-hmm.
that have hurt people. And you've hurt yourself with that. Like you
Right.
said
Right.
earlier. Like you hurt yourself.
Right.
And that is daunting to acknowledge that and see that. That's very daunting. Like, wow. And it hurts. It's
Mm-hmm.
painful. But you have to go through that process. Otherwise, you will go on in life and get in another relationship and hurt the next person and the next person. And you'll keep blaming them.
Yes.
But
Yes.
here's something that I even learned. my pain is going to come and it's going to affect you and whatever
Mm-hmm.
pain you have, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so now we're combining our pains, and
Yay! So fun.
neither of us have acknowledged the
So fun.
pain that we're inflicting on each other.
Mm.
Neither of us are even understanding the healing work that needs to take place. And
Mm-hmm.
so now I've dumped even more pain on that person, pain that
Right.
I've taken from 4 or 5 relationships.
Yes.
They
Yeah.
have their pain from 4 or 5 relationships, and they've dumped it on me. We have now 10 relationships worth of pain
Yeah.
on each of us,
Right.
and we keep
That's
carrying
so
it.
fun. And then keep on keep on what is the word? Uh re-traumatizing each other through the pain.
Re-trauma, that's the perfect thing. We keep
Re-traumatizing.
re-traumatizing each other,
Mm-hmm.
and especially again ourselves, right?
Yes.
And then we go into victim mode. Victim mode is, look what they did to me, look
Like
what
what
they
they do.
did to me, look what they did to me. Like,
Yeah.
it's this is
Yeah.
look, Camille said, work, work, work. We're all flawed. We will forever be going through this process.
Yeah.
But if you don't stop and acknowledge it, you're going to make it that much worse. You're
Right.
going to be in a worse predicament than you started, because you're not
Right.
even acknowledging the fact that you need to
Exactly.
heal.
It's just you piling on, and you're just piling on stuff. You're just
Hmm.
piling it on. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so you're hurting people. Um, People are hurting you. You know, she said
It's just
codependency is real. Yeah.
yes. You just it's just recycling,
Yeah.
reciprocating each other, hurt,
So we're
hurt for hurt for hurt.
recycling that pain
Hmm.
back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah.
And you know, they were talking about, I was listening to something, they were talking about the divorce rate,
Hmm.
and they were talking about, you know, how women aren't getting married at the same rate and things like that. And I said, you know, it is so crazy the amount of pain that we're just trading back and forth, right?
Right.
And it's
Right.
like, okay, I'll give you a trauma, a mama trauma for your daddy trauma, right? Like,
Right.
we're like
And then we
switching,
trauma bonding. Now we trauma bonding. Like you was hurt by your parents, I was too.
just trauma bonding. That's all we're doing, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
No. At some point, you have to be like, okay, I need to work through this.
at some point. And so what do we do? Like, to go into another relationship with that, we have to expect, okay, this could turn out, I could have the same outcome that I
Right.
had before.
Yep.
If I do the same thing, I might get the same outcome, right?
Hmm.
So, how do we work towards not doing the same thing? And that's what this conversation is about, you all.
So, which would be number three then, right? Number three, the third thing would be learn more about you. And I feel like this is what we keep on we keep on saying. We keep on talking about. This is about learning about you, more about you. What if you're the treasure? What if you're the one you need to find? And not a relationship to make you feel better. If you are still in a situation where you're like, I need this relationship to make me feel, or I need anything to make me feel better, whether it's drinking, drugs, um, a person, people. I know people that don't even like being around themselves because they need to have more people around them. And it's like, if you're not able to just be with yourself, and learn you and learn who you are, then what are you going to bring into a relationship if you don't even know who you are?
Mm-hmm.
You know? And I feel like this is just a constant thing. You are the treasure. You are the treasure. Find you. Find you. And we talked about this last week because I know Floyd had a couple of suggestions and I can't remember the other guy's name. It was a couple of guys that had their own suggestions of what they like and what they enjoy. We
Mm-hmm.
mentioned name three things you enjoy,
Yeah. Well,
And
it's
so,
funny that you went to number 3. You know, typically you all, we sometimes will have a discussion and say, this is what I'm going to talk about. This is what I'm going to talk about. We didn't do that for this conversation. We just kind of did our own thing. So it's funny that you said, okay, what if I'm the prize? And so my number 3 is determine the lessons,
mm,
right? So
mm,
it coincides very. I don't know how
Right.
we did this tonight where we
The
didn't have
universe
any
brought all
conversation
together.
and go over notes together, but we did that,
That's right. That's
but that's
right.
what happens when we're on the same frequency like that.
Yes, yes,
So
yes. I was gonna
determine
say
the
too, real
lessons.
quick. I
Uh-huh.
was gonna say real quick too. It was something we had mentioned about men being the prize, right? Or being in a relationship. But you know what? Me and my son was talking because what we were looking at. I don't remember what we were looking at. But I said, it's interesting in the animal king peacocking. It was like peacocks or some wild animal something. And I said it's interesting that the men in the animal kingdom, the men like the bright colored peacocks are men. They're the ones that walk around for the women to choose them in the animal kingdom. Even the lion, they fight.
Mm-hmm.
They fight for the woman. And
Mm-hmm.
it's backwards with us. It's like we don't realize that we are important sometimes because we've been told or taught that we're not, as a woman. And
Yeah.
so there are times and then we've been treated as such, right? And so yeah, so it's just that, just identifying again what was the third one, your
Determining the
lessons.
lessons.
Yeah, determining your lessons and what you need to learn from this past situation, this past journey.
Yeah, because one of the things that I also discovered through my journey is allowing my journey to be my journey, right? And not looking at other people's journey and their life and how they did relationships
Yes.
and what it looks
Yeah.
like for them, and allowing it to be what I feel like
Yes.
is my happy place, that I feel
Right.
like is my joy, that I feel like is my peace.
Yes.
Because we really are a society that's taught to follow what other people are telling us to do.
Follow the group. We are
And
taught to
we
follow the group.
and listen, we're a podcast, right? People listen to us. But I'm going to tell you until the end of time, follow your own path.
Yes.
Do what is best for you. You don't need to follow anybody else but yourself. We are all individuals, and we all individually know or should know when you tap in to what you want,
Yes.
what you like.
Yes.
Not what your mama and daddy did, not what your cousin them did, not what
Yes.
they did on TV. And we have this dreamy fairy tale thing that we've watched on TV or that we've watched with other people when you don't even know what's
Yes.
happening behind the scenes, right? Like I say this all
Looking
the
at
time.
social media,
I
like it's
say it
really
all
telling
the
the truth
time.
about their life.
Not the truth. People
Right.
look at me and Marcus, oh, you guys are so perfect. No, we're not. We don't like each other sometimes. We love each other, but we don't like each other sometimes. Stop creating this fake facade of what you think is
Yes.
perfect for people, because there is no
Yes.
perfection. You don't really know what's happening behind people's closed doors. Create what makes you happy and go on the journey that is yours.
Yes.
That was my biggest lesson for me. One of my biggest lessons, I'll say, is just doing what I felt like was necessary,
Yes.
not doing what anybody
Yes.
else was doing.
Yep. And it's so I'm going to say hi to Don as well. He said men walk
Hey,
around
Don.
peacocking. Yes, that's men walk around peacocking. That's yeah. They should, as they should. No, I'm saying. I was gonna say, yeah, because here's the thing. Again, it's like, even with marriage, right? Even in the relationships, it's like you start dating, and then somebody's like, "Well, when y'all get married?" Well, then you get married. Well, when you having kids? If you keep on listening to everybody else, you gonna have several kids. See, because then then you be like, okay, I have 2 kids. Okay, I have 3. Okay, I have 4. Oh, you got enough kids. Why you having so many kids?
Mm-hmm.
I remember I had this one client that was like, I suggested something, and it was weird because I'm a weirdo. I was like, get a grounding mat. See if it helps with your pain. He was like, grounding mat? Like, what is that? And he was like, and he jokingly said, like, people will know. I said, because Because they come into your room. What they do? They pay your bills. But we really think like that. What will people think if I do this? What will people think about me? And it's like, who in your house? And then why they paying your bills? We always concerned about what people think about us. And so oh my gosh. And then I was another thing. Okay, I woke up the other morning. I don't know if I even shared this with you. I think you were out traveling. You were traveling the world. And I woke up and I was like, I wanted to do a video on this. And I was like, it's interesting. And I said, I had this client that was dealing with depression, and the doctor was giving her medication, and so I'm like, I'm okay. Like, medication's fine, right? Because it's typically when you get medications, because it's a chemical imbalance. So sometimes, like, I got ADHD, so I know that sometimes I'll be like, I can't sit still. I jump from topic to topic. I'll be up over here, over there. And so I know that sometimes that could be, that could be a chemical imbalance, right? And so the medication will help with the chemical imbalance. Which when you're getting the medication and the medication is not helping, then it's not that. Then it's no longer that, right? And so sometimes they'll tend to be like, well, let's try this medication. And that's okay. Again, that's okay if that's what it is, right? You're trying different medications to see which one will work, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But she was getting this medication, and she was like, for a couple of years, she was getting off on medication, and it wasn't working. And we'd have conversations about different things, right? And triggers, and working through the and one day they identified a friend of theirs. And it was interesting because I was like, we have to really be aware of those that we surround ourselves with. Again, because people will help you lose yourself because they want you to be more like them or what they need you to be. And that's why it is detrimental and very important for you to figure out who you are. It's important for you to get to know you, because you will lose you with these people, and you will be depressed and anxious and not know why, but not realizing, like, man, and it's weird because it's like you'll befriend somebody or be with somebody, and it'll be it'll be their hidden expectation of how you're supposed to be, and the way they'll do it is, well, that was weird, you did that,
Mm-hmm.
or they'll make a little remarks, and you'll be like, and it's not a strong remark, but it's like I wonder what made them say that, right? It's like this. Like, you get that when somebody says something, you get that, okay, what just happened right now? Because something, it's
Yeah.
like I can't, like, it's a something. I can't, I don't know if y'all get it. Like, right, it's a,
No, I know exactly what you mean.
Right, that thing, and you be like, I wonder why they said that. Then you move on. But subconsciously, you start adjusting according to their expectation of how you move, or whatever you said or whatever. You start adjusting yourself, and you start losing yourself. And then you be like, you wake up one day, why am I so anxious? Why am I so depressed? Because there's an expectation placed on you, and you started moving according to somebody else's stuff. So you go be the one depressed because you don't even know who you are. And you done lost yourself in this relationship, in the friendship, in whatever ship that even family.
Yeah.
Even family or parents and their expectation of how you're supposed to be and who you're supposed to be. And you went to college because they told you to go to college. But what if you don't want to go to college? What if you want to do something else?
Mm-hmm.
You have to, and that's why it's important before you get into, and again, we're always working on ourselves, right? But it's always important for you to just check in with yourself, even when you get into another relationship, even when you're dealing with people, co-workers, friendships. Check in with yourself. Check in with yourself and find out, okay, how am I feeling? Okay, I was feeling a little down. Okay, what was a trigger to me feeling down? Well, they said something. So-and-so said something that made me feel some type of way. Why did that make me feel? Like, start questioning yourself. Start asking yourself. Start
Yep.
checking in with yourself. Because if you can't have another relationship with anybody else before you have one with yourself. So if you're not checking with yourself, how you gonna have somebody mentioned in one of the lists, communicating with other people in a relationship? Well, shit. I mean, oh, I can't cuss. Oh, sorry, Maria.
Yeah, you
You go
can.
blink that beep. Oh, okay. Well, shit. If you go, if you can't talk to yourself and have communication with yourself without feeling uncomfortable to talk to yourself,
Mm-hmm.
then how you go be comfortable enough to talk to somebody else in the relationship, to be open, honest, and vulnerable with somebody else if you can't even do it yourself?
Mm-hmm. Hey, Ebony, we saw Ebony come in.
Ebony and Ivory. Sorry.
We always singing on here. We make everything into a song. If it's not already a song.
Right. Create our own
song. But no, you were on the road there. So this is so real what you just said, and I want to go back to that. I don't want to get distracted too much without sitting there for a minute, because somebody needs to like really hear this. You are creating things in your head about a relationship that don't even have anything to do with your desire, your journey,
man.
Like, it's not even connected to you.
Man.
You have taken on what you've seen out in the world, what you've seen other people do, and now social media, that just created a whole nother beast. We are looking at things and we are creating these things in our head about, oh, I want this, oh, I want that. But like you just said, check in with yourself. It's why I keep talking about journaling. How do you know who you are? If you're not writing out, this is how I feel. When I'm in this environment, I feel like this. When I'm around this person, I feel like this. In fact, I can tell my business, and I can tell you, like, I had to call my cousin because I was having so much anxiety. What was this? Last week? 2 weeks ago? I called. I'm like, I'm having all of this anxiety. It wasn't even my anxiety.
Yes.
It didn't even have anything to do with. So as I'm talking to her, I'm talking through what was happening, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, that wasn't even mine. Mm-hmm. I literally sat in the company of some people and I took on someone's anxiety.
Yes.
So you can literally, in your mind, I want to be married. I want to have this. I want to do this.
Is that even your idea? Is that even
might
yours?
Not even be yours.
Oh my gosh! You know how much that's instilled in us. You know how much stuff is instilled in us to follow this pattern of behaviors that we're supposed to do, and how depressing it is because we're not following our own us. Man. Yeah. You said I was watching. It's this Korean. I've been watching this Korean show called the Magical something of the something. I don't know, but she has autism, right? She works in a law firm, and she has autism. So before she walks into a room, and I loved how she said this. So before she walks into a room, she does this thing where she's like 1, 2, like, you know, if you're jumping the jump rope, she's like 1. Mm-hmm. 2, 3, and she walks in the room. And so somebody asked her, like, why do you do that? She said, because this space has a different energy. And she said, so I have to prepare myself before I step into this difference. I was like, that's kind of deep. We step into different energies when we step into different spaces. Mm-hmm. So you got to make sure you watching, again, checking your own self when you walk into this different space. How am I feeling? Check in with yourself, because you are important. You are important. You are important. I'm going to say it again. You are important. You are important. And so you're to check in with yourself. Okay, how am I feeling in this space? Okay, is this mine? Hold on. Okay, hold on. Is this mine? Okay, we're going to send that right on back to sender. Okay, that's what I do. That's one of my tools. Return back to sender. Let's send that on back to whoever that belonged to, because I don't want it. And sometimes I forget. But return it back to sender.
That's why I called you.
And I was gonna say, I forgot you told when I called you, and I was like, Kia, I need to talk, and you was like, okay, we still working through some people pleasing stuff. Oh man, I miss. Yeah. Yep.
That is so good. I think, like, we have to consider the fact that there are many moments that we are not honoring ourselves. So that's just starting back to number 1, where it started. Number 1, honor your healing. In order for you to honor your healing, you have to acknowledge these things. You have to
Right.
be clear about these things. You have to stop putting yourselves in positions to where you're hitting repeat, repeat,
Right.
repeat,
Right.
right? Then you're in this hamster wheel, and then you're dizzy, and then you get off and you're like discombobulated, and you're mad at everybody because you're like,
Mm.
oh, you did it, and you did it, and you did it, and you did it, and you did it. And
Mm-hmm.
you've not taken the time to sit down with yourself. If you
Mm-hmm.
don't love you, it is going to be extremely hard for anybody else to love you. You need to
Yes.
love yourself enough. Love yourself enough. And you have two people here that are talking to you all that have struggled with this, who still struggle with a ton of stuff. We literally call each other back and forth through the week. Hey, I'm struggling. Can you talk me through this?
Mm-hmm.
So, as we talk to you all, this is not perfection whatsoever. You're listening to two imperfect people who at
Right.
least acknowledge we at least became self-aware, because before we were like, no, it's not us.
Just
It's
floating through
them.
life. Floating through life.
It's them.
That's
We
they
never
did us
acknowledged that.
wrong. They did us wrong. Floating through life.
Yeah.
Look, I'm a victim again. Floating through life.
But you have to start acknowledging, hey, I contributed to this. I'm part of this. I
Yeah.
do want to acknowledge Don has a comment here. He said, live life as it's given. Let the poetry speak for what's unspoken. Follow no one. That part.
Yeah, but you know what? And we can say follow no one, but it's just instilled in
But
us.
we do it.
We,
Hmm.
man, on accident. It's an accident we do it
So
because
remember
it's
the
just
book.
continue to.
Remember the book that I suggested to you. Like that book is proof. Like,
The courage to be
and
disliked.
I've had to read the book. I'm reading the book again because I'm like, that book has so many nuggets, and I'll share with you all. The name of the book is The Courage to Be Disliked. Um, because it talks about how a lot of our relationships are tied into us trying to please other people, even when you
Man,
don't realize that's what we're doing.
man,
You
man.
don't even realize you're doing it because it's subconscious.
Right. Yeah.
It's subconscious. We've been doing it for a long time. Since little kids, we were trained to consider other people and their thoughts and their feelings and what they're going to say and their judgments. All of those
Mm-hmm.
things are a part of how we move, even when we
Yes.
don't think that it is. Because
Right.
I'll give you an example. Think about when you look on social media and you see something, right? And you're like, well, I don't like that, or I wouldn't do that. And then you find yourself later, oh, I didn't even like that before. Now all of a sudden, not only am I liking the post, I've got an outfit like that. I got shoes like that. I'm listening to that type of music I said I didn't like. It sometimes happens to us subconsciously. And
Just like yeah.
it's
But
definitely
even
not something that we're trying to do. Like, I'm trying to
right,
be like you.
right. And then even if we okay, so and realistically, even if we like even if realistically we were like, okay, I'm not gonna follow anyone, right? You'd be so far like uh you'd be so far like they would reject you. Like people would reject you, if you're really trying not to follow people. Like if that's really what we're trying to do, right? I'm not gonna follow anybody, I'm gonna follow me. But we would be so far we would be considered outcasts. Like the more and so which again is not a bad thing. It's just that know that we're following something because we're not we're not big outcasts.
Mm-hmm.
We're not like if we were sitting here and whatever. But the thing is that it's I think the job is to find your like it's not about rebelling against anybody because then once you do that then once you rebel once you be like I'm rebelling against the system now you're fighting against something and when you
Mm-hmm.
fight against something you make choices based off of fighting against something and again that just whatever but it's about like embracing. So say yes. Okay, I watched them eat some Fruity Pebbles. I was like, let me, you don't want no Fruity Pebbles? And I tried like, okay, no, well, I do like the Fruity Pebbles. They taste pretty good. it's okay. Like I'm not
Mm-hmm.
following them. I'm just choosing this because I enjoy it. I like it. And it's
Yeah.
about again in this space of accepting you, no matter what it is, what it looks like. It's about accepting you, and you're not alone. There's things that you might want to try that other groups of people might try, and like there's so many things out there now that you can try and learn. Just what it last time we talked about trying something new.
Mm-hmm.
You said trying something new, in the space of this singleness,
Mm-hmm.
trying something new and just taking a chance and just trying something different and learning you and just getting to know you, getting to
You know
know.
she gonna
Okay,
sing, y'all.
so the microphone right here. Getting to love. Okay, I'm sorry.
Well, no,
If I wasn't
I
connected,
totally
I'd be
agree with
dancing.
what you're saying. I agree that it's important to, as I say, just go with the flow, right? Just let it flow like water. We're not trying to force anything, and we're not trying to prevent anything.
Yes.
When you get to the space where you know who you are, no, nobody can force you to do anything. You know
Mm-hmm.
who you are. You know what you like. If I choose to do these things, even in a relationship, if I choose to start a new relationship with someone and I'm closed minded and I say, I'm never going hiking, I'm scared that bears will be out there, right? Then you're rejecting something without even allowing yourself to say, well, let me even try that. Let me do
Let me
something new.
see. Mm-hmm.
And and you're being resistant because you're just like, I don't think I have to do that. I'm going to show them, right? In our healing, one of the things that I'm not going to speak for Shamika, I'm going to say in my healing, what I've discovered is that there are a ton of things that I have resisted. The first being myself.
Mm.
The first being myself. I resisted myself
Man.
to belong, to, and I would say I just
Yes.
wanted to be loved and was never loved by
Mm-hmm.
any of those people that I
Man.
attached myself to. And I was seeking something that I wasn't going to get from anybody until I
Yes.
learned to give it to myself.
Yes. She's speaking for me, y'all. She is definitely speaking for me too.
So, in order for you to
Yes.
go into another relationship, if you are in your single season right now, in order for you to go into your next relationship, the number one thing is to love yourself and to display that love for yourself so that when people see that, they're like, I gotta, like, if I don't love her like that, if I don't love him like that, I can't even show up
Mm-hmm.
because they love themselves to a level that I don't even love myself. So there's no point in me even stepping in that direction. Love yourself enough that it is displayed to the world. People are like, wow, look at how Shamika loves herself. Man, she spends time by herself. She takes care of herself. She treats herself. She has her day dates, her evening dates. She does all the things. She does the things to feed herself mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. She does all of those things. I want to be attached to that, but I need to go and love myself. I need to do the work for myself instead of going from this relationship, being the victim and attaching to somebody else, and then taking all that pain and
Mm.
putting that on them.
Yep.
But when you are in a place where you are self aware and you're holding yourself accountable and you love
Mm-hmm.
yourself, you are going to reject that.
Mm.
You won't even accept it.
Yep.
I'm here to tell you because I used to accept, look, I used to be like, oh, you gonna love me? Okay, come on.
Yeah.
And then I would be upset that they didn't love me.
Yeah.
But who gonna love somebody that don't love themselves? It's not possible.
Right. And you put so much pressure on somebody to do something that you can't do for you.
Exactly.
You know. You're like, you're not loving me. I remember doing that to my husband. Ooh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
Yes. Yes.
Ooh. I remember that to him like, I don't think you love me. But ooh, I did not love me. Boy, I did not love me. Ooh, I didn't even like me.
And it's not
Mm.
anybody else's responsibility to do that for us. We are
Yes.
supposed to be doing that for ourselves, giving that to ourselves. If you find yourself in your single season, as you're healing, excuse me, as you're healing, if you find yourself in that space, I'm just going to challenge you to do the work. Like, listen to our last podcast where we
Mm-hmm.
talked about the things that you can do in your single season, to this podcast about the 3 ways to heal, which really turned into 6 ways to heal. So,
Right.
y'all got a bonus. This was a bonus. 3 times 2 is 6.
Because it's so much. It's so much you could do. It's
It's
so much.
so much
It's
you
so
can do.
much. It's so much.
So the last one that we kind of touched on was determining the lessons. And one of the things that I didn't mention is, as you determine those lessons, figure out what tools work for you, right? Whether it's a combination of journaling and therapy, whether it is a combination of changing your friendships, your settings,
Yes.
whatever it may be, like,
Yeah.
do what is necessary for you to get the lessons out of that, so that you're not repeating those things, because sometimes we find
Yes.
ourselves in that repetitive stage.
Yes.
But we wanted to leave some time for you all to have questions or comments about tonight's discussion. Let us know what your thoughts are. Let us know if you have anything you want to add to the discussion, because we didn't have all the things to heal before you get in another relationship. But what things would you add in terms of different ways to heal before entering another relationship? You all have been extremely interactive with us tonight. Again, we
Yes. Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
We really, really appreciate it. If you come back and watch the replay, of course, feel free to hashtag and, let us know what nuggets were dropped. I appreciate Missy. She already knows we need the hashtags with whatever nuggets were dropped. Boom. We appreciate you for doing that.
Yes.
Because that lets
Yes.
the people know who come back and watch the replay. Oh, this what they was dropping. Love yourself. Oh, okay. But let us know what questions you have, what comments you have. We're listening.
Yes.
And if you have nothing, that's fine too.
It's all right. Could I do so? I was thinking, because I was thinking when we were talking about anxiety, you can do like a maybe I can get. Oops, shoot. Can you guys hear me still?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh, okay. Because my phone is ringing. I'll call back. That's my son. I was just making sure you can still hear me. Okay. So maybe a technique that I use that I do that'll help with when you're feeling a little depressed or anxiety, or you feel like you need to be back present. We could try the tool if you want to try it.
Please do.
Okay. So this is what I do. So I do 2 deep breaths, and the deep breaths are when you breathe in, you're counting to 5, right? So it's breathe in 2, 3, 4, 5, and then out 2, 3, 4, 5, and I do that twice. Okay, so let's do it together. Breathe
Okay.
in 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe out 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe in 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold it. Breathe out 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I want you to look around you, and I want you to find 5 things you see. So list the 5 things you see. Then I want you to do 4 things you touch, like things you feel. You feel your um, clothes on your skin. Do you feel your hair on your neck? Are you touching something? Do you feel my feet is barefoot on the floor? I feel the floor. 3 things you hear. So I hear the key hitting the mic. You might hear me talking. It might be I have a fan in the room. 2 things you smell. So I have candles near me. And the lipstick, the little lip gloss I got on my lip. And then 1 thing you taste. And so that helps bring you back present. So if you're feeling the anxiety or depression, or and you're going through this with a breakup, or you know, come back to present, and then now start. Okay, what caused this? What was the trigger? What was I thinking about? Okay, what do I miss? I watched somebody say. She said, when you break up with somebody, you're not sad because of the breakup. You're sad because of what you thought was going to be in the relationship. It was not going to be what it was. So it's like these expectations that wasn't real expectations that you're sad about. You're really sad and mourning what could have been, or how it was supposed to be, or the idea that you wanted, how you wanted it to be. And yeah, in those moments when you're present with yourself, take those times to journal and write down what are your triggers. What are the things that cause you to be upset? What are the things that you're sad about right now? And write that down and journal it.
That was awesome. I love that. I say we do that at the end of every single session.
Woo! Yay! Let's see.
Okay,
Look.
so Floyd has something here. If someone happens to get in a relationship and they're not completely healed from a previous relationship, so they start to do more healing work, what can the current partner do to show support?
That's a good question. Um, if someone happens to get in a relationship and they are not completely healed from a previous relationship, um, and they start to do their healing work, what can the partner do to help? Um, be a listening ear. I think too. I think communicating. I think just being able to communicate with that partner, and the partner being able to listen and be honest and truthful, right? So because if you're talking about somebody else and you're healing from another relationship, but then that relationship hurts you, and I'm listening to it, it might make me feel some type of way, right? It might make me feel some type of way. I might feel like I need you to get over them, or so the partner needs to be patient. Maybe be a listening ear, and also identify if they're not in that space to hear that either. So
Mm-hmm.
being honest and truthful with yourself. The partner has to be honest and truthful with themselves, and making sure that they can be a support to the partner. So yeah, so I think that'd be yeah. So the partner, fasten your seatbelts. Oh, he said fasten your seatbelt, and maybe it might be right. Yeah. Yeah, you'll probably deal with a lot of stuff. You'll probably be able to be dealing with a lot of stuff to helping your partner heal. But here's the thing too, giving your partner that space to heal, right? And having no expectations of how it's supposed to look or what it's supposed to look like. And I don't know if I know that's kind of hard to even say, right? Um, Helping them to have no expectations of what their healing process looks like. Misi says, be open about past experiences and where they are at in their healing process. Agreed. So that's the partner that's going to the healing. Be open about your healing process and where you are. And even for the partner, like the partner needs to also be open about where they are in helping them heal. Like, are they being triggered too? So I think the partner just has to be self-aware.
What do you think about like a plan of action when you partner with somebody that is maybe either starting their healing journey or in the midst of their healing journey, and you might be in a different space in your healing journey. Like, do you say, okay, I don't want to get in this relationship with somebody that has all of these issues, and then I ultimately am taking on their issues? Like, do you suggest having a conversation like, you know what? I support you in your healing journey. Are you going to therapy? Like, what is your plan of action? Like, do you suggest something like that?
Um, yeah, I think that's why the partner needs to be honest with themselves. Like, are they going to be able to do that with them and go through that healing process with them? Um, and again, like you said, what does that look like? What is that healing process? Are they going to therapy? What are they doing in this healing, in their healing journey? What steps are they taking? And how you gonna give us this at the end of the session? Dang. Man, because yes, a plan of action. She hashtagged that
Mm-hmm.
because it has to be. It has to be. If you're in the relationship and they're going through their healing, it definitely has to be a plan of action because it's not just because now you're taking on, like you said, now you're taking on somebody else's. You're going through somebody else's stuff with them,
Mm-hmm.
and that's hard. Sometimes that can be hard. And you just have to be honest with yourself if you can do that. If you need, you need your moment, you need your time, you need your own therapy,
Yeah.
because, um, yeah,
That's why I asked the question, because I think
yeah,
like that can be difficult. It's not like it can't be done, but
yeah,
it can be difficult. And I think like being honest and having those um, very transparent conversations can kind of guide you along if that's the path you decide.
right. And again, but again, and then so here's the so okay, and I think I feel like so again, we're all going through our healing, right? We all
Mm-hmm.
have our process. We're all going through it, so we're all going on a healing journey. So if I get into a relationship and they're like we're each, learning in the relationship, learning ourselves in the relationship and what that looks like. So if somebody is really dealing with some for real trauma stuff, like am I willing to be that for them? Am I willing to be there for them in that space? I have to be honest with myself. Am I going to be supportive? Is it going to be too much for me?
Mm-hmm.
So there's levels of the healing. There's levels of things you're going to deal with. There's like I was molested, so I dealt with that trauma. That was this trauma right here, and unfortunately, my husband was was in that space of me dealing with me with that, and that was overwhelming. I know that was too much for him. It was too much for me. I know it was too much for him, right? And so, and then me even in this space now, learning how to have healthier dynamics in my space and learning to check in with myself and make sure I'm not people pleasing, make sure I'm not, so it's a constant healing. That we're constantly healing, we're constantly going through different things, and there's just different levels. It's
Right.
just different levels. If it's an extreme stuff, then you need to ask yourself, like, can I do this? If it's some
Exactly.
extreme stuff, can we get through this together? And like you said, and what you said again, a plan of action. Okay, how do
Mm-hmm.
we go get through this?
And
You
that's
know,
like what Misi said, like, is the relationship worth it? Because depending on what stage, and
man.
you don't, that's why you have to have that plan of action. That's what I was thinking about when I said that. Not
Mm-hmm.
that, my healing is so high and your healing is so low. Like, no, but there are certain things and certain experiences that some people just not have healed from. And
Mm-hmm.
so if you haven't healed from stuff that happened when you were 5, right? And now you 55, that means, right? But I've gone through some healing, and I've dealt with some of the
Mm-hmm.
things that happened to me at 5. Now I'm trying to deal with the stuff from 25 and I'm 55. So
You're
yeah, we're on
right.
different levels of our healing journey. And so I
Yes.
think it's
Yeah.
important, have a plan of action, have real honest conversations, be transparent so that
Yes.
we are not in a space of uh, just not, it's not going to work. And you kind of know that, like, this may not work because you have so much brokenness that hasn't been addressed,
Man.
like, at all. Because I know some
Mm-hmm.
people that have never been to therapy, that have never addressed their issues. And so if you come and partner with a person like me or you or anybody else that's been to therapy for years, now I've been in therapy for over 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm still messed up. So, but my point is, if
Right.
you've not had any therapy and you connect with somebody like me, I'm not even going to be able to connect with you in some things because I'm just like, I've kind of got past that part. Like, you're pouting or you're expecting me to read your mind. You're not in the space where you're self-aware enough to say, this is how I feel, Kia. I'm feeling like this, right?
Right.
You're used to being in a chaotic space, in dramatic space.
And slamming doors and stuff.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. You're throwing stuff,
Yeah.
hitting me, and so yeah, like you have to
I'm
consider
not doing
those
that.
things.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. Yeah.
Okay,
If
you
it's
all.
gonna traumatize me.
We went over the hour, but this was a good conversation. We appreciate you all so much. You guys were so engaging. That's why we had to go over.
Thank you
an hour.
guys. Thank you guys.
We appreciate you all.
Yes.
And as always, we ask that you all go out to the YouTube page and share the YouTube page. If you come back and watch the replay, put your hashtags in and what nuggets were dropped. And as always, we appreciate you all. I'm Kia McLean, and
I'm Shanika Arnold, and we out.
Peace.
Toodles.
Seeing eyes of mine, you see, there are no trees.